Welcome to the Purpose Focused Advisor, a podcast for financial planners, advisors, and RIAs looking to get the most out of yourself and your business. Join Rob Brown as he walks you through a journey that will allow you to take action in your business and your life so you can be the best that you can possibly be. Now here's your host, Rob.
Welcome. You are in the right place if you are aiming for the Purpose Focused Advisor podcast. Your host, Rob Brown here, along with a great guest, Mike Zung. Mike is the founder of Java Wealth Planning, which is a fee-only firm where he aims to help technology company employees with equity compensation. So we're going to dig into that. But Mike also has another gig, which I think is equally cool. He is the creator of the beautiful financial plan, which helps advisors create customized plan deliverables. And we're going to talk about that too, because I think Mike is a really interesting guy. I enjoyed getting to know him last month when we did a little prep for the call. So we're gonna dig right in. Mike, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's excited to be here.
Yeah, so let's start by talking a little bit about your purpose. Why did you get into the financial planning business in the first place? And maybe, by extension, not only do the kind of work that you do for your planning clients, but also get into the beautiful financial planning space.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so I guess, getting a little bit into the origin story. So I am a career changer. I actually worked in, I got a computer science degree, and then I was working in software development for almost 20 years. And while I loved it and it was great, it was the reason for the switch was, I just kind of got to this point where I felt like I wanted to spend my time, my working hours, doing things that I felt more kind of intrinsically motivated to do. Right? Software is great. I was working for insurance companies and defense companies and things like that. But it was a little difficult to connect the dots of the work that I was doing and the good that I was providing, in the world, essentially, without getting too cheesy about it. But yeah, and so I kind of, I'd always had this interest in the personal finance space and always loved, money's usually a pretty taboo subject, but it was definitely one where I felt pretty energized and motivated whenever I would be working with anybody and talking through, just some financial topics, right? It didn't have to be, it wasn't like, hey, what's a hot stock or anything like that. But just trying to help people with kind of aligning their money to the, to what they care about. Right. And so kind of my own version of doing that was by starting this firm, right. Where it's like, hey, I want to align, what I really care about with just the actual work that I'm doing and things like that, and the money's just kind of the facilitator for it. So that was kind of the impetus for doing it. And basically the way that I got into it was through podcasts like this, actually, where I was actually listening to financial independence podcasts, and then also I discovered Michael Kitces and then XYPN. And so with listening to the XY Planning Network podcast, then that gave the motivation and kind of this pathway of saying like, oh, actually, there are people that do this, and this is how they're doing it. So I joined XYPN in 2018 while I was still working full time in software development, and I launched my firm while I was still working full time. I don't necessarily suggest that for people. It's quite a time commitment. But yeah, so that's what I did, and kind of juggled both for about a year and a half. And then at the very beginning of 2020 and the 2019 is whenever I said, it's like, okay, I'm walking away from the software tech world, and I'm going to go full time into this other world. So yeah, I'll kind of pause there. I kind of went through about 20 years in a minute and a half.
No, that's great. I loved the way that you walked through that from a couple of standpoints. You talked about being a career changer. And one of the things that I have seen over the years are a lot of career changes. In fact, maybe more of the advisors that I have met over the years did something first
Right.
before they did this. But the other thing that you said, and you were worried that it might come across as being cheesy, is that you said you want to do some good in the world, or at least kind of see that good in action, because there's good behind all sorts of work. But if
Right.
you're not on the front lines interacting with the end client, sometimes you may not appreciate it if you're building, software in
Right.
the background. So doing good, that sounds like is really the purpose behind making the seeing and attaching it to the fact that you had this, you got some satisfaction out of looking at numbers and helping people look at
Yeah.
what their goals are.
Yeah.
So do I have that right?
Yeah. And it was just it's kind of the part from kind of the world that I lived in, kind of the tech world. Like, yeah, I had the numbers part, but I kind of felt like something that I'll admit isn't the most natural for a lot of software people, developers, is the human relation part too. So kind of feeling that I had a good balance of, okay, I can get the technical stuff, and then I can also do I felt like I could do a pretty good job at being able to convey really technical things to some of the non-technical crowd, right? So because kind of my role in that software world was I'd be running a lot of demos and things like that, where like I'm talking to a bunch of people that really aren't that technical, and so kind of being able to bridge that gap. And so kind of from that perspective, I was like, hey, actually, from the I feel like some of those soft skills along with the technical skills is also a good kind of a good intersection for someone that's getting into this world, getting into the financial planning world, because it's definitely wearing a bunch of different hats. And realizing, and the more I've gotten into it, the more that I realize that the technical part of it is actually a fairly small piece of it, and a lot more of it is the soft skill part of it. So
Right. So you discovered your affinity for the soft skills, because it seems to me that
right.
you've kind of flipped the script in a way, because you're working with technology company employees,
Mm-hmm.
and you're probably using those soft skills to help someone who maybe is very technologically savvy understand something that they're not familiar with, even if
Right.
it's the benefits inside of their. So, Mike, what you're really doing is you're creating, either whether it's you with the Google sites that you're building for your clients, or through the service that you're offering through Beautiful Financial Plan, you're creating a way for the data to speak to something, the Google Slides, the Google Sites, in a beautiful way, so that it creates something that you could print
Yeah.
out and hang on your refrigerator.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's just trying to connect the dots of all the number crunching and everything that we've done to distill it down to, it's just like, okay, why does this matter, and what do I need to do next, right? so so yeah, I mean, whether it's kind of some of the cash flow stuff that's in there, or just like, yeah, just figuring out what's the next steps for them to do, and why are they doing it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, kind of connecting it to their values and what they really care about.
In that simple couple of phrases that you just used, I hope advisors are listening to what you say. Is here's where you are, and why does this matter? Because sometimes I think
Right.
in doing planning, or doing coaching for that matter, we don't break it down to, this is where you are and this is why it matters, and just make it really simple for people to understand. We want to make it harder than it needs to be. And
Right.
maybe a software a software engineer background likes complicated, but Um,
Oh
complicated
yeah.
to simple.
Yeah.
Making it simple
Yeah.
is so important.
And that's, yeah, I mean, and yeah, with kind of with that software, the stereotypical engineer client, right? Where it's like they want to know, what's behind some of this. And so sometimes, and the way that I say it to people is like, we're going to look behind the curtain right now, and we actually drop into some of the spreadsheets and all that other kind of stuff, right? And so like, yeah, we can talk through that. But then there's people, whether it's the person that's at the tech company or whether it's a spouse or something like that, where it's just like, I just tell me what I need to do. I'm busy and I kind of don't care about this. So
Right.
I don't care about the details, I should say. And so it's just like, yeah, just tell me what I need to do and why it's important. So like that, I'm actually motivated to do it. It's because like, if they're not motivated to do it themselves, then I kind of feel like, okay, I haven't conveyed the importance of it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I love that. And what it reminds me of, I was actually I was helping a client with one of his younger advisors do a little bit of coaching of that younger advisor on how to present a plan. And my client, his boss, for lack of a better word, loves to display the Money Guide Pro financial plan on a Zoom meeting as he's helping through the planning process. But he always stops at the index page and says, see how long this report is? And then he points out which pages are most important and which ones he is going to highlight, which is like 9 or 10 of them. And as I was talking to this younger advisor, as I was listening to present, I was like, and he immediately went to that index and did the same thing. I thought, this is so great, because what you're doing is you're telling this person that you're talking to, a client or a prospective client, we've gathered all of this information and I can dig as deep as you want into these 37 pages. But the heart of the matter is what you said you're trying to accomplish and why it's important and how I can help you get there is right here. And I appreciate that in that situation, but also in what you're doing through the beautiful financial plan.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, it's figuring out what level we want to stay at. And yeah, it's like we can stay as surface makes it sound bad, but like we can stay just kind of in the summary view, or we can drill down if we really needed to.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. So, Mike, it's time to land the plane, and I've just loved so much about what you're talking about. As we begin to close, before I ask you how to tell people how they can get in touch with you, is there anything else that you want to share about what you're doing in your businesses, or the combination of your businesses, that you think is really informative to the financial advisor who's listening to this podcast?
I guess just the main message, just from a high level perspective, is just being grateful for the position that we're in as financial advisors and the work that we are kind of given permission to do with people. That's something that is always kind of blows my mind. And the conversations that you have with clients and the things that clients will share with you, that they haven't shared with hardly anybody, like whether it's hearing that they're expecting a child before they've told friends and family, right? Things like that, where it's just like, just really being, just kind of being present and being kind of grateful for the stuff that we're able to do. And so it's just like, kind of lean into that and try to do it the best way that you can.
Yeah, I love that, because it actually goes back to one of the reasons that you said that you got into this in the first place, it was about doing good. And you worry that might sound cheesy, but what you are doing good with is really important work. And I think what you just highlighted is the gratitude that those of us who are able to me serve advisors who serve clients or advisors who are serving clients is you can make such a huge difference in their lives if you just listen and care. And it creates all sorts of benefits, like, knowing that they're having their child before the aunt or uncle will know. That's kind of might sound silly, but it just shows you how purposeful that work can be, and how important it is to that right person when you're working with them, and the way that you're doing at both Java and in helping others build beautiful plans. So let's close it up. Mike, what's the best way for the folks who are listening to this podcast to get a hold of you or learn more about beautiful plans?
So I guess first, just from the advisory firm perspective, so you can go to javawealth.com to check anything out. Or so I do get on LinkedIn. I say I have a love-hate relationship with LinkedIn, but I'll get on there and I'll reply to any messages that come in. And then for the Beautiful Financial Plan, it's just beautifulfinancialplan.com. If you want to check it out, and there's some video demos of what's in there. So like if you want to see behind the scenes of how it works, then there's some more information there. But then you can also reach out to me through there too.
Awesome. Well, Mike, thanks for being on the podcast. To our audience, as always, thanks for listening in. We'll see you next week. And remember, we're rooting for your success. Take care.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of The Purpose Focused Advisor. If you want to learn more, head over to our website, truestfancoaching.com. There you'll learn all about becoming a purpose-focused advisor. You'll also find today's show notes and links to the other gifts and resources we talked about during the episode. Again, thanks for listening, and remember, we're rooting for your success.